Yes. Good morning, KOA. How is everyone? Great. We have one person that actually woke up right over here. She's like, great. All the other 709 of you failed miserably at that test. Well, ladies and gentlemen, how was that party last night at Southside Social? Did everybody have a good time? Right? We want to say a huge thank you to our sponsors for last night, Home Depot. Ladies and gentlemen, a great partner not only on the home side, but on the commercial side. Absolutely awesome. Thank you so very, very much for that. And as you look on your tables, we have another great partner that we'd like to say thank you to, and that is Amazon Camper Force. Amazon Camper Force offers us a unique way to engage those folks that might be coming to work for Amazon in one of their locations by putting them in your campground. We share a common goal, finding great people. So find out more about Amazon Camper Force there on your table. And of course, there's a great little goodie bag for you there as well. The theme of this year's convention, spark innovation and ignite action. We are all innovators in this room. You are going to see some incredible physical innovations. You're going to hear about wonderful guest service innovations. You're going to have the opportunity to be a part of a think tank. You know, we didn't invent the campfire. The campfire's been invented for eons, since the dawn of man. But what you all have done, what we have done as KOA, is we have innovated new ways to experience that campfire. We'd like to say thank you to the good city of Chattanooga for letting us immerse ourselves in a campfire as everybody arrived. That was nice. That's all about the full interaction that we had there. But what's most important about innovation is taking action on it. Taking action on those ideas that come to mind. And this is that chance. We've all had, hopefully, a great year. Did you guys have a good year in your parks? Was it a great, fantastic 2016? Yeah. Investment in outdoor hospitality is at a peak. Whether it is campers buying RVs, millennials getting out in tents, you name it, it's happening. And we are the epicenter of it. It is our job now to continue to innovate fun ways to interact with our campers. And innovation takes a team. And we're on that team yellow. We all have to think about putting on our lab coats. So I'd like you all to just imagine in your mind being a part of a laboratory. We're all going to put on our lab coats. And no, they don't sell yellow lab coats. And if they do, they have a radioactive biohazard material sticker on the back, so we went with white. Once you put on that lab coat, you start to immerse yourself in the possibilities. If anybody caught last night on Nat Geo, the discovery, the opportunity to go live on Mars. People that have been thinking about these types of innovations, changing the way that we live, changing the way that we think about what we're capable of, is happening every day. They've all got lab coats. Put on that lab coat. But sometimes we play with fire. So we always want to take the appropriate safety precautions. Right? We want to be safe. Sometimes being safe doesn't allow us to take action on those incredible ideas. But as long as you prepare yourself, you're ready for absolutely anything. You can do it. The other thing we have to do is think about great innovators that have gone before us. Those that have thought outside the box. So we put on our thinking cap. Right? But when we talk about innovation, when we talk about the opportunity to bring new ideas to light, to try them, we must always remember that sometimes we're going to fail. Some of the greatest inventors and some of the greatest innovators failed and failed and failed again. But innovation is about taking what we know and seeing it in a new light, doing something different with the information that we have. And you know, at KOA, it's all about the details. And so, we must think ahead. We must contemplate failure. I bought it used, don't laugh. And I'm not able to grow one on my own, so there you go. But we always have to remember that we can do it together. We can take action together. I just shaved. It's beautiful. I didn't want to look too much like Howard Stein. I can't see him right now, but I'm pretty sure he's not laughing. We are a great team, and with great teams come great ideas. And great ideas lead to great innovations. Ways to take that camper experience to the next step. A way for us to ignite action not only in ourselves, but in our staffs. And we are so lucky to be here together in Chattanooga as one KOA team as we look forward to keeping that fire going, to keep fueling that fire, to make sure we're the absolute best in the industry. And I know and I am confident that we have an incredible team at KOA headquarters in Billings, and the man in charge of that team has been seeing campground innovations for years. He's been a part of them, each and every one. And though he may not come on stage and wear funny wigs, he's a man who leads quietly, confidently, and incredibly. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome CEO and President, Mr. Pat Hittmeier.
Good morning, everyone. I got up this morning and I took a shower and then I shaved. I went to the closet and I thought to myself, what am I going to wear today? Sort of went through the options and I picked this shirt out and I said, it feels like a yellow day today. Have you ever had that experience? I thought maybe you might have at one time or another. Well, we had a great time last night as well, and it was fun seeing everyone. It's always, that first night reception is always a great time when the family comes together again, and even people that you don't recognize. And I have the advantage of not recognizing people I knew last year, so that works well too. And speaking of innovation, how many are going to go out and change your bathrooms tomorrow to take out the wall between the men's and the women's? That is the strangest feeling. I don't even know how to describe it. But anyway, it was a good night. And the other thing I wanted to tell you is that KOA, we get something we call the flashlight, and Randy Howell puts that out once a week, and it's really tells us where the system stands. You know, what's going on that week, all the statistics from all your campgrounds. And so I looked at the one that I got yesterday. Now, we have 300 campgrounds represented here, which means they're not on your campground, right? You're not home. And I'm here to tell you there's really no reason for you to go home. The business, same store business last week, over last year, was 34% higher this year than last year. I mean, now granted, it's a very small number, but still, I mean, it's sort of a crystal ball of what's to happen or where we're going and what's the future holds. It's quite amazing. So no need to go home. Things are just fine. You know, your business is cooking along even though you're not there. So anyway, I would like to, again, welcome you all here and sort of the warm-up act for what's the main event, which comes after me. And I thought to myself that I'm here representing a 54-year-old brand. And if I were to go tell somebody that this brand is started in early 60s, and in fact, most of the campgrounds were built in the 60s, 70s, and early 80s. And they'd probably wonder, I'm surprised you're still around. And I'm thinking to myself, still around, we're just starting to hit our stride. This brand, as I started to think about it, it's got so much going for it. And I think about about 5 different things. The quality of the brand. The KOA quality has never been better. We work hard to try to focus time on improving facilities and living up to the brand promise, and all of you are doing a fantastic job. Our recognition among campers, both KOA campers, first-time campers, and even non-campers, is its highest level ever in history. The experience the guest is having, you all know what that is, and I'll show you a little later what you all have done. And it's really about all of you, and even the folks that are not here today. That experience you're providing the guest is through the roof, and so again, the brand keeps moving up. The performance I just spoke to, 34% up. Now I wish the year were that way, but frankly, I think we're hitting little occupancy issues, and we're still year over year, 5 years of strong growth year over year. And then finally, and I think most importantly, the unity. There's a lot of yellow pride out there, and that plays a big role in helping the brand move forward. It's hard to explain, and it's hard to tell someone what it's all about, and the feeling people get from being part of KOA and getting to know their other fellow campground owners and the families that are all part of this business. It's just a real strong, feel-good kind of a place, and I'm really proud to be part of that. I thought about ways to try to express to you just how good it is, how good business is. And many of you have come up to me in the last 24 hours and told me about how your business is doing well and how you're experiencing strong camper night growth, and your revenue is good, and things are all just happening like they should. And so I started to think a little bit sort of about like a Jeff Foxworthy kind of a deal, only without the humor. and I thought, you might own a KOA and be in the right business if, kind of a way. And I came up with a list. And the first one I came up with is that, every idea works. It's amazing how good we all are when business is good. No matter what you try, no matter what effort you make to improve a site or do something in the store or create a new service, it just works. The business is good. The campers like going camping. They like KOA. They like you. And so everything works. Number 2, you're starting to consider, say, should we buy a no vacancy sign? Never used one before, but maybe we need one. So that's how you might be in a KOA today. The other thing I noticed, you might be in the right business if you open up a gift catalog and you start to see a lot of gifts with camping stuff on it. Everything has camping stuff on it: towels, cups, plates, signs, souvenirs of all kinds. I went into a gift store in a little town of Red Lodge, Montana the other day, and I bet a quarter of the store was devoted to camping stuff. And I thought, this is pretty cool. The rest of the world's thinking that this is a good place to be. You have more people than ever asking you what it's like to own a KOA. And you can tell them, well, it's a great way to retire. You can buy a KOA and retire. That's the old joke, right? So if you own a KOA, what it's like, you have 15,000 people following you on your brand's Instagram site. 15,000 people. That's up 184% this year. And that's because we just got started with Instagram. If you're not on Instagram, I would strongly encourage you to put it on your phone and take a look. If nothing else, just to see the pictures and images that are being pushed out on that site that define camping at KOA and camping at your KOA. I think you'd find it very entertaining. Over 400,000 fans on Facebook, up 30% this year. We have 500,000 people downloaded the KOA app, and 90,000 people use it actively every month. Here's a good one. You know you own a KOA and you're in the right business if your web reservations produced over $115 million this year. That was up 21%. You know, y'all ought to search out Cole Reinhardt and shake his hand. That young man is doing a fantastic job with KOA.com, and he's making your properties soar to the top and making us look really good. And he's that 21% up is a lot to do with the effort he's made on that website. So find Cole and tell him good job, because we're not paying him much money, so you really need to do that. You're represented by a brand that improved their NPS score, that referral rating. In the last 5 years, we've gone from 45 to 60. And I don't really know how to emphasize that enough to tell you how big that is. When you think about 500 campgrounds across North America, all different sizes and types, all different owners, and to move that whole big piece of business from so many people from 45 to 60 in just 5 years, that's a testament to all of you. I mean, because that's where it happened. That's what you have done to create the great experiences that we're having at KOA, and that has a lot to do with why we are where we are today. And finally, you own a KOA if you start asking yourself the question, how high up is up? Where can we go? How far can we go with our business? What can we do to grow our business further? And it's a good time to be asking that. So I think that, when I think about why business is so great, the question that comes to my mind is why? Why is business so good? And a lot of the obvious answers are, well, the profile of the guest and the gas prices and so forth. Those are all leading to why business is strong. But there's some other things as well. KOA's, bless you, KOA's digital marketing is probably some of the best I've ever seen anywhere, and we're gotten better. We're putting more money into digital marketing. We're doing it more effectively, more efficiently, and the return that we're making on the dollar spent is amazing. We are reaching people with our digital marketing in a focused, targeted manner. We're doing our PR. We're reaching not just KOA campers, but non-campers alike. Think of it this way, and to keep the fire going, analogy going, the business climate we're in is really on fire. We are lucky and fortunate to be owning KOAs and to be in the great position we're in today. At the same time, we have this great business climate for camping. Our marketing department is throwing gasoline on the fire, and it's making a huge difference. So we're doing that much better because of their efforts. I think, and I have no way to know this, but I think we're better than the competition. And this is why I believe that. For one, we have the obligation to live up to the brand promise. We see what the promise is that we're making to the guest, and we live up to that promise. We've got peer pressure. I was in a meeting the other day, and I just continually amazed at how competitive you all are. I mean, it's always trying to see if you can do a little better and make things a little nicer on your campground based on what the campground down the road might be doing or what your other KOA owners are doing. So we've got ourselves to push each other. We've got over 50 years of KOA quality assurance, and no other independent park has that. And that's the repeated, inspection process that we've gone through so many years. And like it or not, it helps us, reminds us of the things that we need to do to make sure that the guest is served properly. And finally, the reinvestment you're all making. I see it more than ever before because of the social media, frankly, the ability to see right away what people are up to and what people are doing on their parks and the innovation they're making. So that modernization process. So all of those things add up, and I think that really suggests that we're better overall than the competition. It doesn't mean that there's not great competitors out there that have excellent properties, but I think when we think about the whole KOA system and how we compete as a brand, we're doing amazing. And then finally, as I mentioned earlier, multiple years of great service and the KOA brand experience. You add that great experience, and that's like a deposit. Now, I think of it as a deposit in the bank. I call it CED, which is Camper Experience Deposits. And those Camper Experience Deposits are what you do to sort of invest for the future. So as you create a great experience for a guest, and that deposit goes into your bank account, that's there to serve you later on. If it may be the business sort of slows up a bit, you've got all those deposits that people are going to continue to remember you as a great camping experience. So keep those things, deposits going. Now, every year I show you a slide that has to do with a measurement we've been doing since 2003. And every year I think, I'm not going to show it again because how can it get any better? But every year it gets better. And so in 2003, just to remind you, and we've been asking the same question of campers since that time, every year, about overall satisfaction. And when we asked it in 2003, about 50% of the system, or our average score, was 40%. So 50% of the system was higher and 50% of the system was lower, represented by the 237 campgrounds that exceeded the 40%. That also meant that we had 237 campgrounds that were below the 40%. Okay, you following me? That moved up in 2010. We had 368 campgrounds above that 40% benchmark. And in 2016, we moved it up again, and I didn't think we could, but we did. We have 440 campgrounds above the 40% level of overall satisfaction. So what that says to me is that you ought to shake the hand of the person that's next to you, because every one of you is doing a fantastic job of providing great camping experiences, which pays it forward to the next KOA campground. Our brand is represented in an amazing way by all of you. Okay, now what does that all mean? Well, as I mentioned earlier, we've had 5 years of, great year-over-year growth. I mean, it has been amazing. I've never experienced anything like this in my, 35 years of being with KOA. It's just never been like this. And this year was the second year of only 2 years that this has ever happened. September was a bigger year than May, or bigger month than May. Now, it doesn't mean that we've lost business in May. It just means that September is growing that much faster. And in fact, September and October combined had an 18% growth in occupancy. Our campgrounds experienced 18% growth in September and October, which is much more than we experienced overall. When you think about our occupancy on a short-term basis, it was around 11% this year. So what that's saying is that I think we're hitting some occupancy issues in July and August. But in September and October, where we have plenty of inventory and availability, we're doing really well. So when I think about the same-store growth since 2011, and I've got the next one. If I push this button, it's going to show us what we did for 2016, and 53.9% up from 2016. So it's fun to stand up here and do that. I dread the day when it doesn't do that somehow, but so far, so good. Okay, so what's the forecast? What do we think is going to happen in the future? What do our crystal balls say? Well, I guess one of the things that comes to mind is that I think a lot of U.S. citizens I heard, were headed to Canada. So I'm hoping they own RVs. So so they can camp up there. The pace of our growth, as you noticed by that graph, right, how it kept getting steeper and steeper and steeper, it started to slow this year. And this is not a downer kind of statement, but our pace is slowing a bit. And I think, again, it has to do with occupancy. And I don't think it has to do with the business that's out there. But as an example, between 2014 and 15, we grew at about 13.6% occupancy rate. Between 2015 and 2016, it was about 10.5% occupancy rate. So even though it was better, over a 13% growth, we were 10.5%, even higher than that, it slowed. It's not quite as fast. And so I think that might taper off a bit next year, and we could end up being a little lower. We're predicting actually about a 5% growth on short-term business next year, and that's on occupancy with about a 4% rate increase. So a total of about a 9% increase in revenue on a same-store basis again. So whether it would be right or not, I don't know, but that's what we think. That's what we're doing for our company property side. Travel's going to be just as good as ever. Gas prices are going to remain low, we believe, and not just for 2017, but I think easily through 2020. There's nothing to suggest, short of some international issue, which could happen, I suppose, that the gas won't be there. I think the propensity to travel and see North America and get out and get outside is stronger than it's ever been. And every year that we provide the experiences we provide and have that kind of thing go back into the population and everyone talks about it, it just amplifies the desire to be out there and staying at KOAs. I think that the Canadian dollar is going to be a little stronger against the U.S. dollar, at least what I've read for next year. The guest profiles that have been actually helping our business is going to continue, and by that I mean that the baby boomers, represented by me and many of you, are continued to stay healthy. We're still walking around. We're able to buy RVs, and we're retiring. And so that's going to continue to fuel our business for the next 10 years. The millennials, which probably don't buy as many RVs as the baby boomers, but certainly there's more of them. And as Clint said, they're out there, trying to get started in the outdoor experience. They love brands, and they love KOA. Our North American Camper Study sort of cemented that information. The government, I think, will, even though the current election would suggest that maybe there won't be as much government interference with small business, I still think it's inevitable. Unfortunately, they're going to still meddle in our business and try to, the bureaucracy will be there, unfortunately. And then finally, the weather. Who knows? We can talk about it. Some places will be hot, some places will be cold and rainy and floods and wind and hurricanes and tornadoes, and we survive, right? We end up surviving, and that'll be the same for 2017 as well. So I think if you're planning capital improvements on your property for next year, go full steam ahead, because the business is going to be there to support it. Finally, I want to end with a couple of 2017 programs that I want to tell you about, and not all of the things that we're going to work on is listed here, but certainly some of the things I wanted to emphasize. The first one is a grading process. And then you're thinking, oh my God, what is he talking about here? And what I'm talking about is I started listening and reading stories about the national parks last year because it was in the U.S., it was the 100th anniversary of our national parks. And almost every story contained information that talked about their backlog. And what they were referring to is, of course, the lack of capital they had spent on infrastructure and what they needed to spend. And I started thinking, what's our backlog? And I'm thinking mainly about our company properties, okay? You know, what kind of a backlog do we have in our company properties that we need to be aware of so that we can know where we stand in our process to modernize our campgrounds for the future? And so with Terry Shade's help and his team, we came up with what we think is a pretty good program for grading the backlog of facilities and sites and that we have on our campgrounds and our COP. And we started that process and have a lot of it done now. And we want to introduce that process to you. And so the quality assurance teams will bring that to you, not to do, but to give to you, and as a way to help you try to understand what exactly is my backlog on my campground if I want to modernize it. And it's really one of those things that once we define how we sort of grade the process, you have to decide where that is. And I think you'll find it an extremely helpful tool we have and help us understand a little bit where we need to go, because we just can't stop right now. Things are too good, and things are, we're not where we need to be yet. And so I think this will go a long way towards that modernization process. Our brand positioning program, that will continue next year. It's been turned out to be a very good program. You know, we've had 2 years of research now, the second year reconfirming the decision to do brand positioning, both from the standpoint of the perception of quality, the understanding of the brand positioning makes the KOA brand seem real and have strong meaning to people. And so it's really done a great job. As I look out in this audience, 75% of you have either taken on a brand position or have committed to a brand position. So only 25% in this audience are currently not on board yet. In the KOA system, it's more like 60-40. So 60% have either committed or on brand positioning, or 40% haven't. Well, we're committed to getting this finished. So in 2020, we're going to declare that all KOAs will be in the brand positioning program. And we're, that's last 40% that need to be on board. You know, we realize when we get down to the last 10 or 15% that there's going to be some issues out there. And I want to assure you that we're here to help try to figure it out. Sometimes there's physical reasons why someone might not be able to do something, or other factors that come into play. And we're going to be there to work with you on a one-on-one basis. It's not a mandate that will be said, just do it and then leave you to try to figure it out. So we will talk to you, and you should talk to us, and we'll figure this out. But it's been a great program for us. We're moving forward with it, and I think it'll be a great way to keep KOA current and fresh into the future. K2, I got to talk about it, and I thought about it last night. What am I going to tell you about Campsite 2, And I guess I thought about it this way. When I was a kid, I used to go to boy-girl dances. Did you ever do that? People don't do that anymore, but we did back then. And we'd go out there, and we were 7th grade or 6th grade, I can't remember which, and we did the two-step. And I could do that because it was 1, 2, that. Well, we're on the back. We did that with Campsite. We did 1, 2, and then we took a step back. And I apologize. I really do. We're a year behind schedule on this, and I fully intended this year to be the year that we launch Campsite, and it didn't happen. And you have been extremely patient, and I do appreciate that very much. We are making progress. We will launch K2. It will be a great program. It will be good for your business. It will help you manage your business. It will help to optimize your business. So thanks for staying with us, and we're doing well, and you'll hear more about K2 coming forward. And finally, the last thing I had to tell you is that business has been good for us too, both on the company property side as well as the franchise side, and we want to give back. And one of the things that I think that we've been lack on the last, I don't know, number of years is our R&D. And we want to do more R&D on our company properties, and we want to provide that information to you to help you. We want to try to develop some signature items for KOA, both service and amenity-wise, that help you to use and understand and provide, will grow your businesses even more than they have today. And we don't want you to go out and try these yourselves unless you want to, but we're going to have our company properties do the due diligence on them and build those and then provide that information to you. So there's going to be in facilities and recreation and amenities, and I think you'll see that coming out. And we're going to have a whole new area of KOA focused just on that. So I think that'll be a great process for helping you and grow your business. So that's sort of my start of the convention report, and you know, it's a good one, and it's good to have such great company. But now it's time to really show you the innovation that KOA has been doing and that you have been doing, and we want to show it back to you, and provide you some insight on that, and tell you how we're going to help you even do it better. And to do that, I'm fortunate to have the opportunity to introduce to the stage someone that is really important to you. She is an intelligent, focused strategist, collaborative. You know, this individual has going to paint a bright future for KOA, and you should be you know, proud to have someone like Toby O'Rourke represent the KOA. KOA's Chief Franchise Operations Officer, Toby O'Rourke.